everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be reviewing a movie that I have not been looking forward to reviewing and have been putting off for quite some time now. Without further ado, on with the review.
Polos is life, 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 sleep all night and then Polos is life.
Now, to preface this video, I feel like I must make something clear. I love stoner comedies. I think they're hilarious. I love Bill and Ted, Wayne's World, The Big Lebowski. I even enjoy Dude, Where's My Car? Essentially, I'm trying to make a point that I'd like to think that I'm well versed in the subgenre. However, I must also make the point that I'm going to be biased in this review because I just don't like Machine Gun Kelly. I don't like his music, I don't like his public persona, and I think he's said some very questionable things in the past.
Big fucking strokey nonce!
This movie is a personal story, as it was written, directed by, and stars Machine Gun Kelly and his friend Mod Sun, a trait I also noticed in my review of The Room. The only difference is that this movie is way less funny than that movie, which is a problem because this movie is meant to be a comedy and that movie wasn't. So we get an intro with music that is making my ears bleed, and as I've already established, my hopes aren't too high for this movie. MGK's character is London Class, the main character who is an up-and-coming actor. Wishful thinking, I suspect. He gets a text from his girlfriend Apple, which reads, "Good morning," but misspelled with a U, and because London is so brain-dead from all the drugs he takes, he has to Google what the word morning means. Either that or he thinks the audience is stupid, which is a fatal mistake in filmmaking. London freaks out because Apple still hasn't messaged or called him yet, and then we are introduced to his friend Dylan, who I think is played by Mod Sun. Dylan tells London that Apple's text does look like a breakup text, and we get some hilarious antics.
Dylan? Good talk.
Get it, guys? It's funny because he's got the munchies, ha 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 ha. Not funny. This is such lowbrow humour. London's new assistant Oliver arrives, and we are then introduced to London's extremely paranoid childhood friend Leo. Leo then tries to calm London down by going on this weird hippie rant.
Getting your energy right, man. Close your eyes. We're finding your happy place.
I don't want to go to my happy place.
Just fucking close your eyes, man.
All right.
We're gonna fucking find your happy place.
Okay.
Just go there, man.
You know, I usually wouldn't find this kind of thing funny, but I know a guy exactly like this, so fair play to the movie for making some aspects realistic. Leo goes full wacko mode and starts showing off his music while getting high in a weird, although I suppose innovative way. He sets the room on fire by accident, but the fire is extinguished just in time by London's other roommate Kennedy, who is a lesbian, hates guys, and is played by Megan Fox. London then gets a call from Apple, but the call is cut short because London's phone is destroyed when his friend Trippy throws a water balloon at him. Trippy then starts grilling him for the finale of this show he was in.
I had to come over here extra early to let you know. That finale last night, 7 days.
I like this guy just because he's tearing London a new one. Kennedy is moving out, which London finds really upsetting because she essentially acts as the other character's babysitter.
Oh, and no, I don't care. Because you're like 30. Time to grow up.
Forget Trippy, this has to be my favourite line in the movie. I'm glad that someone finally said it. It turns out though, that Kennedy is just moving to the house across the street.
You moved into the house across the street?
Hello, London.
We do a little trolling. It's called We Do a Little Trolling.
We get introduced to another character called Angel, not to be confused with this Angel, or this Angel. I know stoners have weird names, but can you come up with a more original one next time? Anyways, Angel and London discuss the latter getting a role as Batman, which is something London is concerned about. We get a cameo from Danny Trejo, who's playing this parody version of himself, which is supposed to be some crazy method actor.
I'm such a big fan. I'm so excited that you're doing this show. This is so tight.
Come on, this man was already in Three-Headed Shark Attack. You don't need to damage his career any further with this nonsense. London and Angel then make a variety of audition tapes where he does impressions from various movie franchises like Harry Potter and Ace Ventura.
Where's the pot, Potter? I don't like Draco very much. Anyone know the number to 911? Oh.
This is interrupted when London has to go to a meeting with his agent, Maxine Goldberg, who is a massive germaphobe and terrifies London. On the way there, we are introduced to this weird character called Sabrina the Stalker, and you can guess what her purpose is. Maxine sits in this weird way with her legs wide open towards the camera during the meeting. She also keeps and will keep making comments about giving higher-ups blowies in exchange for favours, and none of it is funny at all. It's just tasteless. I feel like I'm going to be saying this throughout this review. She gets London the Batman role somehow, and pressures London to go to the meeting for this role, despite him being all in his feelings about his relationship drama with Apple. For some reason, Pete Davidson then literally walks into the movie as this valet guy called Barry. I haven't seen much from him, but I've heard that he's supposed to be this really funny guy. Unfortunately, I didn't laugh once during any of his segments during this movie, so I was disappointed. London and his mates then have this genius idea to break into Apple's house to look for clues, where Leo breaks an entire shelf of urns. However, Angel finds a bouquet of flowers complimenting Apple from a person called Luca, raising the suspicion that Apple has left London for another man. The guys are joined by another friend, Fat Joe, as well as Kennedy, and then have another idea that Einstein would envy. That being that they get super high to create enough ash to fix the giant mess they've made. So what do? Smoke a shit ton. Come on guys, this is Towley from South Park levels of logic. At least those segments were cleverly written and only lasted a couple of seconds.
Are you serious? This is torture. You're torturing me and everyone else watching. Wait.
London gets a new phone and calls Apple, but he's so shit-faced that he has no idea what she's saying and he falls asleep. Fat Joe, Leo and Dylan replace the urns and evade Apple, although they tip London off to their suspicions of her cheating, and he dips out of the Batman meeting for this. He tries to head to a flight where he gets knocked out by the buff guy that was seen with Apple, with Dennis Rodden recording the event, before Sabrina the Stalker comes in to pepper spray them. Meanwhile, Leo goes to the meeting with that weird robot elephant mask on his head, pretending to be London, and there's a line that actually makes me laugh.
Whose dick do I gotta suck around here to get some pancakes? End of scene.
See, this is gonna be amazing. This movie's gonna shoot itself.
I think I'm gonna shoot myself.
Sabrina stitches London's wounds before driving him home, and both Dylan and Leo are arrested. Apple is waiting for London at his house, assumes the worst when she sees him with his stalker, and reveals that the guy she was with was her stylist Luca. London confronts her about the text, which she reveals was literally just a typo, and she just wishes she could spend more time with him. But because of his recent behaviour, she actually wants to have a break from their relationship. Not only that, but Maxine fires London after his stunt during the Batman meeting and leaves him a horrific voicemail berating him.
After that bullshit you pulled today, sending one of your fucking
with the director of fucking Batman, you humiliated me in front of this entire fucking town.
Mission Control, we have a belligerent dumbass here that won't cooperate. Yeah, I'm doing all I can. I'm gonna need you to send me in some backup.
The squadron get Kennedy to bail Leo and Dylan out of jail, and they go to this party where they think Apple is at. They have to do a line of, let's call it ambiguous white powder for the sake of YouTube. They have to do a line of ambiguous white powder to gain entry, and go on this crazy bad trip where Angel fucking dies and Fat Joe gets stuck in Tripland. They go to get Berry and Kennedy to help out, as Kennedy is staying in a hotel, and Berry bitch slaps Fat Joe out of Tripland. Kennedy then tells Fat Joe off for leaving the water on and flooding her house, which is the reason for her staying in the hotel. For some reason, the director guy from earlier thought London staged the whole knockout video for him, and so decides to give him the Batman role anyway? Weird reasoning, but okay. Ecstatic, London calls Apple and arranges a meeting at the place where they had their first kiss. Unfortunately, London crashes his car into Apple's car on the way there, because he was fucking texting and driving, and they both end up in the hospital. The fucking end! I have so many things that I can criticize this movie for. Where do I begin? As I stated before, the humor in this movie is so low effort, it's just, "Who do we stoners? Look at how weird we are." While the clue's in the name, stoner comedy, the franchise which is often considered to have inspired the subgenre, Bill and Ted, didn't even have drug use in it. They were just caricatures of late 20th century, young dumb Californians. Drug use does not equal funny, and the tone of this movie is just so crass. On the other hand, when written well for comedic situations, drug abuse and its resulting behaviour can be very funny. For example, look at the character of Phil from the previously mentioned Wayne's World. He is a heavy drug user, but the character isn't funny just because of that. It's because of how he interacts with his surroundings. He often acts completely intoxicated, which his friends take in stride and are used to, but completely baffles the professionals who come to work on the television show when they're first introduced. On the other hand, while he is sober, he doesn't recall things totally accurately, like forgetting his friends were at an event, which does confuse his peers. It's this dynamic which makes Phil funny. Another point of contention for me was Kennedy. For some reason in these amateurish films where romance is a focus, whether it be based on a Wattpad fanfiction or crap like this, there is always a lesbian character shoved in the background for no reason. Kennedy being a lesbian doesn't affect her character at all. We do see her on some dating app, but that's kind of it. She's just another cardboard cutout background lesbian who is really attractive but hates men. We've seen it before. She would have been the same character if she just wasn't attracted to any of these guys because they're giant man babies. There are way too many characters in this movie as well. It's not a sitcom. It would have been okay if they were introduced naturally, but they aren't. They're just all given their own introduction. On the topic of characters, there are way too many cameos in this movie. Other than the ones I've mentioned in my review, we also have Tom Arnold as the director guy, Avril Lavigne as herself, and Snoop Dogg voices a Blunt. Just adding as many cameos as possible won't automatically make your movie good. A funnier cameo would have been casting Kernan Shipka as Sabrina the Stalker. Get it? Cause she's Sabrina the Teenage Witch? Well, that's all for this video. Be sure to follow me on social media as they are all linked in the description box below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching.
Nothing like a polo to ease my mind. With polos by my side, I'll always shine. The blue and green ones are my favorite kind, but I'll eat the colored ones from time to time. Cause polos is life, 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 polos is life. Sleep all night and then polos is life.